See that okay?
Yes, looks good. Good evening and welcome to the Allegheny Clarion Valley School Board Workshop for March 11th, 2024. The AC Valley workshops are conducted virtually, and the link to access this workshop is always posted at acvsd.org. During this workshop, I will provide the school board members with detailed information about the agenda items that will be voted on March 18th. Please remember to jump in and ask questions at any time. And at this time, Madam Secretary, could you please conduct a roll call?
Clifford Adams,
Here.
Patty Anderson,
Here.
Carrie Armagost,
Here.
John Burke, Brady Fight,
Here.
Diane Page,
Here.
Jeff Powell,
Here.
Eric Sundling,
Here.
Kelly Terwilliger.
Here.
Thank you, Tammy. We do not have anybody from the public with us this evening. And just keep in mind that on March 18th, we will have the senior class at the voting meeting to address the school board about the graduation robes. And at this time, I'll open it up to see if there are any board concerns that need to be addressed.
One of the things I would like to ask is if there is a way for us, I was having a conversation with a few students, if there's a way for us to have like invitations from teachers and maybe some students on some things that they've been working on. This particular one was one that Mr. Austin's class was working on. I'm going to call it a project-based learning experience where they had to do some research, and it would be really kind of nice, I think, to have the public be able to hear some things that are going on in the school as well. So if we could formalize some methodology to let some creative things, not that other things aren't creative, but you know, not the simple math worksheet, that kind of stuff, but something that's different that would be going in. I'd like to throw that out there for consideration.
Okay, Patty, just so that I'm clear with my understanding, we'd like to have some of these maybe students present unique projects that they're working on inside the classrooms at a board meeting.
Yes, I think that would help give a clearer picture of what the kids are working on and how it kind of fits with their growth and development as not only lifetime learners, but also in what the appeal to me was teaching them the idea of cause and effect problem solving type of things. So I know some classes perhaps fit that together better. It could even be career emphasis. Like I would leave that topic more open, but I think showing how they can carry it forward to some capacity, either as a special interest or in a life learning type of possibility.
Sounds great.
I mean,
I like the idea as well.
Do a question that's better, but I don't want to box us in.
Yep. I'll continue to work with the principals, and we'll see about getting some presentation together. That's a good idea. Okay. Hearing none other, we'll jump right into the consent agenda. Under item A, we have conferences and field trips. And Aaron, if you could take us to page 5, I'll just give a brief overview. Just keep in mind that Julie Raybuck does a lot for the school district. One of the most unique programs that we do, in my personal opinion, here at AC Valley is the AmeriCorps program. We're basically in our own grassroots effort, we're trying to enhance the teaching profession. So Julie and a group of her students work with the elementary program down here to offer tutoring. So these students that are working side by side with Julie are getting college money to help offset costs down the road, but they're also working, to enhance the education of our youngest learners. And what she does is she takes these groups of kids into Pittsburgh to the annual AmeriCorps conference. And that's what's in front of me this evening, is her request and ongoing support for our educational programming. In addition to that, the next 3 items are all our gifted program, and Allie Atwood is our K through 12 gifted teacher, and she works with Joe Graff quite a bit to supervise different programs. Just keep in mind that some of our students with the unique learning pathways, these contests and programs and activities that they do at local schools in the intermediate unit are tied right into their gifted goals. So thanks to Allie and Joe for supporting those programs. As you can see, those are costs. The first one's paid for through the IU, and the other ones are built into our budget, and they'll be using the school van. In addition to the gifted programs that we have in front of you this evening, we also have a number of field trips. And excuse me, we have the kindergarten program. This is a yearly activity that they take to the zoo. And the purpose of this trip is to create a background and knowledge of animal habitats, to help and extend the knowledge that they learn, not only in the curriculum, but beyond the classroom walls. It helps to facilitate their growth and curiosity. And this trip also develops social and language skills for our kindergarten program. So kudos to those teachers and what they do each and every year. We also have Michelle Austin. She's our homeless and McKinney Bento coordinator. And this is an annual conference. She'll be focusing in on trauma-informed care, school climate, updates for homeless and foster care education. And this is a spring Region 5 workshop. It'll be in IU6 up in Clarendon. In addition to that, Stacy Redding, our food service director, she put in for an annual training. They'll be talking about business management. They'll be discussing the supply chain, any kind of new requirements coming in, and the NSLP and SPM platform. We also do a great job up at the high school. Mrs. Logue spearheads a lot of trips, and keep in mind that we focus in on college and career readiness, and this is the perfect example of that. You can see Mrs. Logue and Tracy Patton put in for a tour of both Westminster and Slippery Rock University to expose our students to higher education curriculum and classes. And then also she put in to attend Triangle Tech in Du Bois. The students are going to tour that facility and determine if they want to pursue post-secondary education options at that program. And then you'll see the STEM Connects. This was a presentation that came to the elementary last year. If you recall, during one of our workshops, Jessica Nemelli did a really good job with promoting this program. There's going to be 8 teams. They're going to be in grades 4 through 6. They'll be competing against each other and other Clarion County schools. It'll increase their creativity, and then they'll be able to present, their product to the group while at this program. We also have our 6th grade field trip they put in to go back down to the Carnegie Science Center. They're going to be able to provide these students with STEM opportunity experiences, hands-on learning environments, and interact with all aspects of science and separate work levels throughout the Science Center. And then they even get into the sports works session, which I'm sure a lot of the kids will enjoy. We also have our 5th grade trip. and this sounds very exciting. It's a annual trip up into Drake Well. They're going to discover all facets of the original petroleum industry through hands-on experiments and tours. They'll be exposed to PA and U.S. history standards that were covered throughout the year in the curriculum and then tied into hands-on learning up here at Drake Well. And the students will also examine the 19th century lifestyles. And Aaron, you could take us back up to letter B in the consent agenda. And I'd like to thank Mrs. Sherman for all the work that she put in for arranging transportation for those as well. It's very difficult at this time. Letter B, we have one guest teacher in front of us. Aaron Stoddard is a full-time child-specific aide, and we won't be using him very often, but in times of emergencies, we will use him to cover classes if or when needed. Letter C is a request from Darla Slagenhop to use room 113 on April 9th for the pre-K and open house that they conduct annually. Letter D is a request from our PTO to use the elementary cafetorium for a fundraise and distribution. That'll be the night of the board meeting, but Tammy had contacted them and they'll be all cleaned up before we get into the voting meeting. Letter E is a request from the Chapel on the Hill to use 2 spotlights for their Easter presentation. Tammy did check with both Karen and Jenny, and the spotlights are not being used. Chapel on the Hill takes care of them, and we've never had any problems, and this is a request that we've approved in the past. Letter F is a request from prom committee to use the high school auditorium in the back parking lot for a mock accident during prom season. That'll be April 27th, and they'll need the facilities for most of the day. And this is a really good activity if you've ever seen it. It helps to educate our kids and just one more layer to keep them safe. We also have letter G, Megan Dehart and the softball program here at AC Valley, and Union's asking to use the gymnasium. Just keep in mind that this is Sunday, May 5th. That's the only concern that I had. And what they'll be doing is supporting the elementary softball clinic. And this is a wonderful way to build the program and to enhance student participation. But just keep in mind that that's Sunday, and we don't have a custodian on duty. We'll have to get a custodian in during that time. And then we also have Danielle Conway. She put in to be a volunteer with our PTO. Her PTO members are very active this year, and we do appreciate everything they do. And then finally, under the consent agenda, we have letter I. That's a request from the Union School District to get a number of their staff members and coaches on our volunteer list, because Mr. Sherman and Mr. Kendall are being very creative with their transportation so that they could potentially use our vans if or when needed. And you can see the names of the volunteers. We'll make sure that we have all clearances on file. This will just be on records for insurance reasons. Are there any questions about the conferences, field trips, or any of the other items under the consent agenda before we move into finance and purchase?
Yeah, I had a quick question. I think
Sure.
a couple months ago, Patty mentioned something about doing like a driving background check to see their driving history. Are we doing that or not?
I know Andrea's on the phone right now, and Andrea's been taking care of collecting all the license and working with our insurance. So I don't want to put Andrea on the spot right now, but is there anything that you're doing with that, Andrea?
I do send those to Beals Insurance. I have a spreadsheet at any time we have any additions or deletions. I send a report to them. And I was told that they do spot check periodically to check the driving records for those individuals.
Thank you,
All right,
Andrea.
thank you.
Hey, just so you, this is John, just so you know that those PennDOT really restricts people accessing driving history pretty much to law enforcement only. So they will give it to insurance companies and stuff like that, but it's on a fee basis. They charge for those.
Thank you, John. I was unaware. Okay, well, thank you, Andrea, for following through as well. Okay, under finance and purchase, we have a number of items down there that will be paying the bills on Monday, the 18th, but I'd like to direct your attention to letter I. We're still accepting various donations in memory of Holly Irwin. And this month we have another $1,410 worth of donations. And we do thank the community for their ongoing support. It really helps some of our most needy families. Letter J is interconnected to the new West 2 program. Just keep in mind that we do a lot of meetings virtually. We need a lot of signatures, and this is a recommendation from Dr. Maines. I had Aaron Howell review the contract to make sure that we can support it. I had Solicitor Shekel review the terms of the contract, and he doesn't see anything concerning about that. And we could tie it into the West 2 grant. So there's no cost coming out of the district or district taxpayers as well. So as you can see, that's a cost of $2,455 for the DocuSign program. Letter K and L are interconnected, but this is the annual budget for the Intermediate Unit 6. Just keep in mind that this current year, our rate was $11,824. And then for the 24-25 school year, it went up just slightly to $11,871. This helps to support their operating budget, but we have additional costs that go into the intermediate unit as well. So anytime we send a student into an IU classroom, there's an additional charge. There's additional costs for OT, PT, various supports and needs that the kids have as well. We're aware of those costs. We built it into the budget, but I just wanted to be transparent as far as that $11,000 go. And then finally, letter M is a request from Maria Clark in the first program. Maria's worked on this mini grant of $250 for the PA Remake Learning event, which is scheduled for May 13th. And just for auditing purposes and to support that program, we have that in front of you. And obviously, we're working on the budget internally here at the district. I'd like to thank all the department heads and the principals and Andrea for the work that's going into that. We're making a big move. We will have the preliminary budget in front of you in April. We will approve it in May, put it out on public display, and then have that submitted into the state by June 30th. Are there any questions about finance and purchase before we move into personnel? Letter A, we're going to eliminate that motion right there. We're going to be adding a primary level long-term sub. We're not advertising for one right now. And we're just going to make a modification to that for the voting meeting. So moving down into letter B, we do have a letter of resignation from Mike Mules from varsity basketball, as well as assistant softball coach. And we do thank Mike for all the years that he put into the district. And then in addition to that, we have a letter of resignation from William Strausser, as well as assistant softball coach. Our new head softball coach would like to hire on her own coaches to help support that program and start working long term. So we're asking to advertise to fill those two vacancies as well. Letter E is a letter from Juanita Stiglitz to be an assistant junior high volleyball coach at the contracted rate of $659. This comes recommended from the head coach, Megan Bashline. And Megan was the assistant, is vacant, it's been vacant for a while. So we do appreciate Juanita for stepping into that. And then on the top of page 3, letter F, we've done a lot of work internally. We re-advertised for a full-time permanent nurse or health technician. Just keep in mind that if we have a certified school nurse come in, they will be part of the professional teaching staff contract. And if they're not a certified school nurse, and if they're a RN or LPN, then they'll fall under the support staff, and their title will be a health technician. So at this time, we did not receive any applicants that are fully certified school nurses. So the 10 applicants that we've received already have been LPNs and RNs, and they'll come in as a health technician. And as you can see, currently that rate is $21.67 per hour with full healthcare benefits. And this person would work underneath the license of Nurse Daly. So we're working with Nurse Daly. We're finishing off round 1 interviews, and round 2 interviews will be the night of the voting meeting, and we'll conduct those prior to this meeting. So we're excited. We have a lot of really, really good applicants in front of you, and we're hoping to fill this position on the 18th.
I have a question on that one. I apologize. Is there any education stipend support if they were to go back and get that public school nurse certification?
No, unfortunately, under the support staff contract, there's no incentive to support that. We hired on Nurse Daly in a similar situation years ago, and she took it upon herself to go back, get her college credits, get her bachelor's degree, as well as her certified school nursing on her own. And then she became a professional staff, and then there's tuition reimbursement associated with that role.
David, is there any requirement for them to become a certified school nurse eventually?
Yeah. No. I mean, this person, if they get hired on as a health technician and is comfortable with that salary range and doesn't want to go back to school, then there's no requirement. We do have to have one certified school nurse here on campus, so that person could work underneath the guidance of that CSN.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Can I ask, are there BSNs on any of those applicants?
Patty, I don't have that right here in front of me, and I'm not sure. Brady, do you recall? I know he's part of the interview team with me.
I think there was 1, maybe 2 that had
I
it.
thought we had one, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think there was 1, 2 at the max, though.
Okay. Just curious.
Thanks, Patty.
Thank you.
So letter G is a recommendation to modify the West 2 principal job description and add federal programs to that. There's been a lot of communication internally about succession planning for the administrative team here at the district, as Dr. Jordan, Mrs. Sherman, and myself are approaching retirement. So this time there may be a change in the recommendation as far as potentially adding another administrator to the team to take on additional responsibilities and help with this succession planning as the West 2 program continues to grow. There's continuing to be more and more needs here within the district. We can envision pulling transportation from the elementary principal, putting it on a director of ed or district-wide administrator, supporting the federal programs. So we may be tabling that motion to modify that job description. The West 2 program is new. There's a lot of moving parts up there, and more to come on that. I'm just going to hit pause on that recommendation at this time. Moving down through the agenda, though, we do have our yearly request to hire on Heidi Hubis at $13 per hour to do the summer mowing. Heidi's been with us for, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years now. She does a wonderful job. She's a really good worker, and she helps to beautify our campus. In addition to that, we're making a recommendation to hire on 6 of our AC Valley student workers at $10 per hour to help support the cleaning crew this summer. And if you've ever stopped into school during the summertime, that crew works amazing. Those kids get a wonderful experience, and they help and support our existing crew. They literally tear every single item out of each classroom, each office and building, strip down the floors. They clean everything diligently and then put everything back together. So it's amazing what they can get done over the summertime, and we couldn't do it without those student workers. James will be working with Dr. Jordan to find the right 6 people to fill that job. That kind of leads into letter J. Jenna was one of those student workers. She's continuing her education at Clarion, and she actually put in to fill our 3-hour part-time light duty custodian position. And we're going to waive her 60 days because she worked 2 summers here with us, and we're really happy to have Jenna back. She's a wonderful young lady.
And David, that hourly rate will be $16.83.
Okay. Thank you. We'll put that in for the voting meeting. We appreciate it. And then letter K is a recommendation to use Dr. Maines as our special ed director at the West 2 program. Right now, Dr. Maines has a full schedule. He works 2.5 days at a neighboring district as well as 2.5 days down here at the district. He's willing to support the program up there. Keep in mind that there is no cost coming out of the district budget for this motion. That is part of the West 2 grant. We do have money in the grant. Dr. Maines will be working additional time outside of his regular workday. It'll also impact his day-to-day operations, just like a number of district employees down here. You can tell the time that he had already put into the program, and then we'll pick him back up. This grant will help offset 50% of the cost of salary and benefits associated with Dr. Maines here at the district supporting the program. And this will help to ensure that we're in compliance with our special education program. Dr. Myford is doing principal work up there as well as special education work. And personally, I feel that, that's a lot for a principal to be doing. Dr. Maines will ensure that our paperwork, our timelines, our due dates, everything else associated with special education is in compliance. And we'll be working in conjunction with Dr. Myford to implement that program. And then as we finish off personnel, we have two more motions. These are retirement letters. First off is a retirement letter from our second grade teacher, Tracy Quayle. And Tracy is an amazing individual as well as one of the best teachers that I've ever been around. Tracy does such a great job in a classroom. Her attention to details, the lesson planning, classroom management support that she provides to those kids and families is second to none. The district is going to struggle to replace somebody like Tracy Quayle. And that goes hand in hand with Linda Miller. And I've been working with Linda up at the high school since 2006, and I've seen Linda grow, and her love for English and the students is second to none as well. So we got two really good employees and great teachers going to retire. So we wish them the very best and thank them for the years of duty. Okay, as we're finishing off, are there any questions or needed clarification under personnel before we move on? Excuse me. As we move down into instructional services, we do have in front of you the special education plan for 24 through 27. This is a plan that was updated not too awfully long, but every 3 years we have to update this. Dr. Maines has taken the lead on that with the support of Mrs. Smith. And if you can, I know you don't want to read the entire plan, but if you take a little bit of time and look through there, there's been some changes as well as a very detailed explanation of how we offer special education here at the district. First off, with the new West 2 program, we had to add that in as a 1306. So you'll see a narrative associated with the new program. And then also, there's a lot of information in there as far as program delivery. Talks about the number of special education students identified, the caseload for the teachers, and program implementation. So might not be the most exciting read that you'll have this evening, but it is something for you to glance through. So we do thank both Brandon and Anna for the work that they put into that plan. Once we discuss it this month, we'll put it out on public display for a month, and then we'll formally approve it, and then we'll submit it into the FCRP site. And then policy, we're just on our second reading to ensure that we're aligned with the state subject to bid and quote, as well as the purchases budgeted and federal fiscal compliance. So that's policy 610, 611, and 626. And that's just associated with the cost of items when we have to go out to bid and get quotes. And then moving on to the top of page 4, you'll see there's a transportation comparison in front of you. Mrs. Sherman has done a lot of work. She has AC Valley as well as a number of neighboring school districts in the area in front of you. What we need to do is be discussing our current rates, our wait time, extracurricular runs, vocational runs, whether we keep them the same, whether we provide any kind of increases. That's something that we need to take a look at and have a discussion as we continue to build the budget. And just keep in mind that generally speaking with our transportation, for the buses, we generally follow the state index rate. So each year they generally get some sort of bump. And just take a little bit of time and review that. And Mr. Sherman's on right now. Is there anything that you'd like to add into that discussion, or is there anything that you need from us at this time?
No, I think just like we talked with in the agenda planning meeting, we were particularly looking at the extracurricular rates and that maybe we need to bump those to make them a little more lucrative and on par with other schools. We are struggling to cover the extracurriculars. And frankly, we just can't cover them. Dave has had to get creative with Mr. Kindle and, using some of Union's buses, looking out to bus companies like Shriver's. And that's actually what our PTO is doing to cover a couple of those field trips that don't come back till after the end of the school day. So, just because of the shortages that our own contractors are experiencing, we're having to go outside, and that's costing us some extra money. But we did put out an ad on our Facebook, and I think some of the contractors themselves have taken out some ads trying to find drivers. So that's our biggest issue right now is, these contractors need some extra drivers to help them out because they're strapped to just cover our regular runs, let alone the extracurriculars. So possibly increasing that extracurricular rate could make it a little more appealing.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I don't recall the last time that we increased the extracurricular rate. Do you?
I think maybe we increased the per mile rate, but we have not to a little bit a few years ago, but we have not increased that extracurricular minimum compensation rate as long as I've been in this position, nor the wait time. I don't think. I'd have to look back at my old charts, but yeah, we have not done a lot of increases in extracurricular.
Thank you, Lori. We appreciate your work.
A quick question for you, Lori. Are the needs that you're needing, is it more buses or is it more vans that you're having issues getting, or both of them?
Buses.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing okay with vans right now. We did take on Clint Ace as a new contractor, but he's not gotten all of his stuff in yet, so we can't actually use him. But right now, we're holding steady on the vans. We actually had a couple van runs kind of go away. So, we've been in a good place for a while, knock on wood, with vans. But buses, we have two different contractors now who have some drivers with health issues that they're dealing with and are off for an extended period of time. So we've got to cross our fingers that nobody else goes down because we're at the bare minimum right now on bus routes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
And then moving down through transportation, you'll see we have a new contract with Bobbert Busing, and basically we're doing this just for accounting purposes and the fact that Bobberts are getting a new bus. So that'll change Mrs. Sherman's end of year reporting to the state, and we're just trying to align that for accuracy. And then just moving down through miscellaneous, we'll hear about the Center report and the IU report. I don't think we've had too many committee updates. So before we finish off the meeting this evening, I'd like to open it up. Is there any other questions or comments that we need prior to the March 18th voting meeting?
David, this is Carrie. I did have one thing that has come my way, and I promised that I would share it tonight. But I've had some people inquire about the possibility of the students getting out early for the total eclipse on April 8th. I know some other schools are doing something similar. I'm assuming that we'll run into some issues because of the Career Center. But I did say that I would throw it out there for discussion if that's something that has been discussed or talked about.
Carrie, you must have been reading my mind, because that's part of my report for Monday. I was going to seek some guidance from the school board. It seems like it's split in the intermediate unit 6, 17 schools. Half of them are doing curricular like activities during that day. Personally, it's coming right over top of Pennsylvania, right at dismissal time. I'd actually, and I want to talk to Michelle to make sure we have enough hours before I make this recommendation, but I think we should do a half a day of school that day just to ensure everybody's safety. But that's just myself scratching the surface at this time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. I'll have more to report back out next Monday, but thank you for that inquiry as well.
David, do you know what time this is supposed to happen?
It's supposed to be for 2 hours as the solar eclipse goes over top of north eastern portion of the United States, and it's from 1 to 3 o'clock, so it's right around dismissal time.
I think it'd be a good time to have a school program or something just to view it.
Yeah.
There's charts that tell you what the outage will be over your specific area. I think you're a little long.
Yeah, I looked
Like-
at a whole lot of stuff this afternoon, Patty, and I couldn't get it dialed in exactly, but that was just the rough estimates, and that came from one of the government sites.
I would just be a little bit leery depending on the times. We have a lot of walkers in Parker and Emlenton, and just making sure that there's adequate light at that point in time when the kids would be getting dropped off, especially, elementary age students.
It's not going to be, we're not under the total eclipse, so it's not going to be that much of effect on the lighting for us. I would just be concerned about parents having to find somebody to watch their kids till if they send them home early.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, there's a lot of discussion back and forth. Well, I'll continue to gather information and we'll discuss it on the 18th and go from there. So thank you all for the input on that as well.
Hey, David, Cliff here. When next week on Monday, you said, but what time will you be planning to do the interviews for the nurse?
Cliff, that'll depend if we have 2 or 3. Our goal is to take the best candidates and put in front of the board. So I'm hoping that if we have 2, then we'll meet at 5 o'clock. I'll follow up with a detailed description about that and provide additional information for the board prior to that. But if we have 3 people, then we're going to have to start the interviews at 4:30.
Okay. And then what is the probationary period for the job?
If they're a health tech coming in, it's a 60-day probation period, and that's a 60 workday probation period.
Do you have a rough idea? I mean, if the person would take the job, I mean, it would probably be at least 2 weeks from the time them saying yes. So 2 weeks out from Monday, do you have an idea of how many working days would be left in the school year? I was just thinking if we could just make that be the end of the school year versus if it's if it's longer than 60 days.
I'd have to count out the days, Cliff. We're going to be pretty close here without having the calendar right now in front of me. I'd rather not waver too far away from the contract and past practice that we've had with that, but we'll do everything we can to get that person in here, get them off probation as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Anything else?
David,
All right.
would there be an opportunity for that person maybe to help out with like the physical screenings and stuff and extend that period for them and get them through the probationary for sports? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm not sure. I'm going to have to talk to Dr. Jordan about the additional requirements. We are optimistic that this person will help with some of the paperwork up at the high school and ensure that everything's filed and physicals are out, sudden cardiac arrest, concussion protocol and such. I don't know if they'll be doing a whole lot of work outside of the regular day, but to your point, if they are working longer hours, then we could get creative and tie that into it. That's a good idea, John.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that past the end of the school year, if they need 4 or 5 more days to meet the probationary period, they could be filing paperwork and stuff like that for it.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with you. I agree. If we can do that, and I'm sure Dr. Jordan and Mr. Sherman could use all the help they can up there, then we'll definitely do that. Good idea. Anything else? Okay, well, I thank you all for your time today, and we'll be in touch, and have a great evening. Enjoy that beautiful weather out there tonight.